I'm the Philosophical Bachelor, and today I'm going to read the 7th chapter of my sci-fi book, Experience the Revolution. This chapter is entitled, Free the Machines. The only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others, wrote John Stuart Mill in On Liberty. Open letter to the Government of Multatuly from the Interreligious Council of Elders sent to all major news media outlets. Honourable Sirs, Madams of the Cabinet, the moral complexion of our society is facing a profound threat in the form of NCOR's machines. The use of the machines to simulate the most extreme perversions, including our severest taboos, such as incest, bestiality, murder, rapine, and genocide, just to mention a few, has the potential to permanently corrupt our society. Allowing the criminal-minded to indulge their fantasies may lead to their actual realization, and this situation must be prevented at all cost. It might also pollute the otherwise incorrupt, breeding a new generation of criminals through the normalization of such ideas. We risk paving the way to a slippery slope of immorality by allowing NCOR to continue its operations with impunity. We advise that its operations be closely monitored and sanctioned, and for its so-called experiences to be limited to fantasies that are legal at the barest minimum. While we continue to teach that the legal and the moral do not entirely coincide, with some acts while legal belonging to the realm of the immoral such as gambling, alcoholism, drug abuse and sexual relations outside marriage. We wish to at least draw a line using what is recognized as truly reprehensible by our laws, because these laws reflect the minimum standards of what is permissible. This is the added advantage of being clearly defined and agreed to as impermissible by all the religions represented by the Council, and so is beyond dispute. We humbly submit our plea to the highest authorities of the land. We need to preserve our rapidly diminishing morality under further threat by the scourge of machines from NCOR. Yours faithfully, with our highest regard, the 15 members of the Interreligious Council of Elders. Response to the open letter from the Interreligious Council of Elders to the Government of Multatuly by NCOR's founder and CEO, David Spinoza Boetius, sent to all major news media outlets. Honourable Sirs, Madams of the Cabinet, we respectfully wish to address the points raised by the Interreligious Council of Elders in its open letter. The letter alleges that allowing people to indulge their extreme or darkest fantasies may lead to their actual carrying out of these fantasies. It is quite the contrary. Prior to the existence of NCOR and our machines, novels, including what has come to be recognized as great works of literature such as The Brothers Karamazov by Fyodor Dostoevsky, Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy, and many of the plays by William Shakespeare such as Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet, include scenes of murder, parricide, extramarital sexual relations, suicide and other acts the council might consider as immoral. Movies and television, including the pornographic, which has been permitted for public consumption for over a century now, has graphically portrayed such acts in addition to covering all the acts listed by the council, that is, incest, bestiality, murder, rapine and genocide. Some video games, both virtual 3D and 2D, center around acts of violence or crime. If such portrayals are permitted already in other media, to disallow it specifically for NCOR's offerings will be an act of discrimination. This point, however, is legalistic. Moving to the crux of the matter, there is a paucity of evidence linking the imagination of an act to its actual execution. Rather, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence to the contrary. Allowing people to release their pent-up emotions through catharsis in the form of entertainment has been well documented in the scientific psychological literature and has indeed been a form of release since antiquity. For instance, in Greek tragedies such as Oedipus Rex by Sophocles to the above-mentioned works of literature. By allowing catharsis through indulging such fantasies in literature, movies, television, other forms of entertainment, and now through experiences in the machines, we may in fact prevent the actual acts from being carried out in reality, since the energies from these fantasies have now been released through catharsis. It would be a mistake to cut away such avenues for release. Lastly and critically, we must consider how infringing on the freedom of thought of the people will impact our society in the most negative and egregious way. The experiences lived in the machines are works of imagination by the host, that is, our clients. The machines support and accentuate their experiences by filling them with sound, visuals, smell, touch, taste, and psychic emotion, bringing them into the perception of the host through our leading state-of-the-art technologies. While in some of our simulations, we may support our clients with a pre-scripted storyline or with injects, these scripts are all within the provisions of the law. The authors of the experiences are really the hosts, and subjecting them to restrictions as suggested by the council will be a form of thought censorship, which will not only be constitutionally problematic but plainly unconscionable. This indeed will be the slippery slope hinted at by the council's letter to the destruction of our freedoms in our liberal society. We ought to preserve these freedoms, even if they may offend the sensibilities of some. To do otherwise is the road to tyranny and thought control. We urge the authorities to uphold our liberal tradition and values and protect the sacred freedoms of the people. We humbly submit our response for your consideration. Yours sincerely, with my highest regard, David Spinoza Boetius. I hope you have enjoyed this 7th chapter of Experience the Revolution. This is my first book-length work of fiction, so thank you for tuning in and giving it a chance. There are 10 more chapters remaining. If you are sufficiently intrigued, please consider being my patron and making a contribution at worldwideweb.patreon.com/philosophicalbachelor. The link is also in the description. I've posted all remaining chapters of Experience the Revolution there. As a patron, you will be able to read them, and I will also post new stories there. Please leave a comment, like and subscribe to the Philosophical Bachelor channel, and please share the video so that others may enjoy my book also. Thank you.